Hi there, welcome to another Team Clueless Battle Report. So today we have Mark with us and I am playing as well, obviously. And we are playing an ITC mission. It's becoming a bit more popular in the UK, the ITC, and Mark and I are looking to hopefully try and go to some ITC tournaments in the future. So we are going to start giving them a tryout on some of our games. So we have randomly rolled up an ITC mission and we are playing the Crucible of Champions. So as you can see by the deployment map there, we set up 5 objectives on the map. The way ITC works is, at the end of each turn, you score a point if you killed one of your opponent's models, and you score a point if you secured at least one objective on the board. So you do that at the end of each player turn, that player gets to score those, and at the end of each game turn, or battle round as it's probably now called, you get to score an additional point if you killed more enemy units than your opponent did in that turn, and if you hold more objectives at the end of that battle round than your opponent does. So you can score points that way. There is also a bonus point you can score in each of the rounds. By down here you can see the Crucible of Champions bonus point. If you have 3 character models controlling 3 different objectives at the end of your player turn, you can score an additional point. So characters are a little more important in this game. We get to choose bonus objectives, which we'll go through at the start of the game when Mark and I have actually chosen them all. But that is what we're playing today. You can come over here and we can see the battlefield. It's a bit of a rural battlefield, lots of hills and such, quite a lot of line of sight blocking, and we shall go through armies. So I am bringing a bit of a weird army today. I've always loved dreadnoughts, and that's what I'm bringing today. I have 8 dreadnoughts in my list. There were 9 in the list, but I've had to sacrifice one to make room for a special somebody. So I'm playing Salamanders chapter today. They're dressed in red to honour their fiery rebirth of their father, and not their usual green. Down here we have the starts of our battalion detachment. We have 2 tech marines, one on a bike, one on foot with a conversion beamer. The one on bike has the twin link bolters on his bike, and he also has a storm bolter hidden behind his back. We have 3 scout squads. 2 of them are bog standard armed with bolt guns. The sergeants have chainswords, and I have a full squad of sniper scouts, well, a full 5-man squad of sniper scouts, and just the sarge there has a camo cloak. Then we move on to the many dreadnoughts. So I'll just go through them all. We have a standard dreadnought with 2 sets of twin-linked autocannons. We have a standard dreadnought with twin-linked las cannon and missile launcher. We have a venerable dreadnought with twin-linked las cannon and missile launcher. We have an ironclad dreadnought with a chain fist, a heavy flamer and a hurricane bolter. Then we have some esoteric Forge World things. So we have a relic Leviathan dreadnought with 2 C-beam cannons. They're basically guns that get much more powerful the further away from the target you are. At extreme range, they're like much better las cannons, and if they kill models in units, they explode, dealing loads more hits to that unit. We have a Dare Deo dreadnought with Anvilus autocannons. They're basically a bigger, better autocannon. They've got strength 8 and loads of shots. Then we have the big daddy of all of them, the Leviathan dreadnought. He has a storm cannon array, which is basically 4 autocannons strapped together. It has a bit more AP. And a grav flux bombard, which tears vehicles apart. It has flat 5 damage. But also it's good versus hordes, because for every 5 models in the enemy unit, it gets D3 shots. It also has 3 hunter-killer missiles. We have 2 Thunderfire cannons with their associated tech marines, and then leading the whole force we have our Warlord, which is a Chaplain dreadnought. And that is 1915 points. That's a weird number of points to play. I am going to be using the new assassin stratagem. So during deployment I can choose to include an assassin in my army. All assassins cost 85 points. I've got out the Colexus down here. He is, I think, the one I'm going to choose, but deployment could swap that round, so I might need one of these bad boys down here instead. But we'll find out when we are in the middle of deploying. Let's see what Mark's bringing.
Right then guys, so I'm playing Dark Eldar or Drukhari and Aeldar today. For my Warlord I've got an Archon, he's bare bones, and he's going to be backed up in a spearhead with 3 Dissi Ravengers. I have a Eldar battalion, I have Eldrad, I have a Warlock on Skyrunner, I have 20 Guardians with a Shuriken weapons platform and a scatter laser just because of points, and I have 2 5 squads of Rangers. Down here we've got Urim Rakarth and Homunculus. They're in a Prophets of Flesh battalions. So I have 15 Rex, obviously 3 squads of 5. I have a squad of 7 Grotesques and a squad of 6 Grotesques, and 3 Talosers with Haywire Blasters, Chain Flails and Macro Scalpels. And that is my 2,000 points on the nose Drukhari.
You join us after setup. So I won the roll to choose table quarter in this case, because we're playing the quarter versus quarter mission. So Mark had to deploy first, so he's deployed over here. Ravager's over there with the Archon. He's got all his big gribbly stuff in the centre there. He's got one unit of racks at the back, one unit down here, one unit behind there. He's got a unit of Rangers there and a unit of Rangers up there. Where is Aeldari? Hiding slap bang in the centre with the Homunculus and Urian Rakarth. You've got one thing in Deep Strike.
Yep.
The Guardian blob over here. I have deployed in a gunline-esque, but I've kind of spread all the way around. Over on this objective, I've got my autocannon dread and some scouts. The Leviathan dread is set a bit further forward. He's got a tech marine behind him, ready to give him a bit of repairing. I have the Deredeo dreadnought there. I've measured him out. He's within 6 inches of that dreadnought there, that dreadnought there, that Thunderfire cannon there. So he's giving all of them an invuln save. I chose in the end, I was debating to take the Collector's Assassin, but I chose in the end that the Vindicare was better in this case. All of Mark's characters have really good invuln saves. So it's just a bit pointless to collect, as he would stop some of Mark's psychic powers, but he's not hugely psychic, and I just don't think it would actually kill much. So I'm going to try the Vindicare. I've got another Thunderfire cannon hiding at the back here, Tech Marine with Conversion Beamer up there next to the C-Beam Cannon Relic Relic Contemptor. Down here we have the Chaplain Dreadnought hiding out behind the Ironclad Dreadnought. We've got some scouts here basically hiding from Mark's firepower and doing a bit of zoning, and we have our scouts over here hiding in the woods. And that is my setup. Mark's going to go through what our secondaries we've chosen are and what they do.
Yeah, so your first secondary is Gangbusters, which basically means you've got to try and kill multi-wound models, which is kind of like 2 squads of grotesques.
Yep. So if I kill those, I can score up to 4 victory points on those over the course of the game, and I get 1 for every 6 wounds of that type of model I kill.
Yep. Pick your poison, and you've nominated 4 different keywords, but essentially it's ended up being you've got to kill my Warlock, my 2 Blue Ravengers, and a Telos.
Yep.
And then finally you've taken Headhunter, so you've got to try and kill 4 characters.
4 characters, and you've got 5 characters, haven't you?
Yes. I've also chosen Headhunter, so that leaves me sort of all the Tech Marines, the Assassin, and the Dreadnought.
That's it. These guys are also characters, the Tech Marines attached to the Thunderfire cannons.
Big Game Hunter, which is kill one of your many, many Dreadnoughts. And then Old School, which is First Blood, Linebreaker, Slay the Warlord, and
Last Blood.
Last Blood.
So Last Blood, for those who aren't familiar with it, is killing something in the last turn of the game. All ITC missions go to 6 turns regardless. If I was to say get wiped out on turn 4, the game doesn't end at that point. Mark gets to continue playing and see what victory points he can score. So he's always going to score at least 1 objective and at least 1 more than me, and he might be able to sort out some of his other secondary objectives depending on what he's chosen. So that's how it works, and then we get a score total at the end. So we can get a maximum of 4 points on each of our turns if we kill something, hold an objective, kill more than the enemy, hold more objectives than the enemy. Then we can score a maximum of 6 additional points for doing the bonus objective, which is hold 3 objectives with characters. We've both taken Headhunter, so it seems unlikely that's going to happen, I suspect. And then we can each score an additional 12 points if we complete all of our secondaries to maximum effect. So that is how the game is going to work, and I'm now going to attempt to steal the initiative from Mark on a 6. It's a 5. Mark gets to go first. We'll be back in a minute.
Right, end of my first turn. A little bit of ITC inexperience, kind of sort of told, but overall kind of did what I wanted to do. What my aim was to shoot off the scouts and riflemen off of here, so that got me First Blood, and that was obviously successful. Other than that, I've just kind of pushed around. I've tried to keep these out of a little bit of cover from his mass of dreadnoughts, and I'm trying to hide at least my Warlock as a character, but unfortunately, the nature of my characters is I have to kind of get them out there or else they're not going to be doing anything. So yeah, I'm just trying to hold objectives and push forward a little bit at the moment. So that was it. Just killed 2 units. So that has scored me. I scored 1 point for killing something. I've scored 1 point for holding an objective. And then I scored 1 of my secondaries, which was First Blood.
End of Salamander's turn 1. So we opened fire with everything. Movement-wise, I moved up my Leviathan Dreadnought to be in range of the grotesques that were furthest forwards. I debated moving this Tech Marine over to this objective. it would have made Mark lose a victory point, kind of, because at the minute he holds 2 objectives, because he has the one back there and the one over there. And because he killed my units over there, I only hold the one. So with ITT scoring at the end of the battle round, if he holds more than me, he gains a victory point. But I decided to let him have that, because I think my Tech Marine he's my most mobile piece and he's worth having around for now. So that's what I did in the movement phase. I shuffled around my scouts over here just to block deep strikes at the back in this zone, and my Hurricane Dreadnought Ironclad moved forwards. Then we opened fire. Now it's worth pointing out that I remembered halfway through my shooting phase that Salamanders can reroll hits and wounds, but I don't think it'd have had a huge number of effects. The Leviathan opened fire. I think he killed 1.5 grotesques. I mean, Dark Eldar are pretty hard to kill. Certainly the what's it called versions, the evil slimy ones. Then we opened fire with various other things. The Relic Contemptor up here fired with his C-beam cannons. If they're at extreme range, they are strength 10 and they do 3d3 damage. So I managed to leave a Ravager on 1 wound with firing from that, which was really good rolling on my behalf. I finished it off with fire from a Thunderfire cannon, giving me 1 of my kills for the turn. I then decided to pick on something weak. There was a scout squad over there on that objective. I Thunderfire cannoned them, but didn't take out too many. And then I had to devote fire from both of my dreadnoughts over here, both of the missile launcher dreads. I fired both their frag missiles at the scouts, managed to take it out with the second one. I popped the Ancient's Advice stratagem, it's not actually called that, but it's something similar, on the Derrideo in the middle here, which gave me reroll 1s on all those models there, which is quite useful. The Derrideo himself, he poured fire into the grotesques. I mainly fired at the front squad of grotesques and the Talos this turn with most of my heavy units. I managed to kill 1 Talos and I managed to kill 4 grotesques. One of them to a leadership roll at the end, which was pretty poor rolling on Mark's behalf. The Vindicare Assassin up here, he fired, and at the grotesque, he couldn't quite see Eldrad, annoyingly. He fired at the standard homunculus. I did him 1 wound. Yep. 1 wound of the standard homunculus, spent a command point, fired again at Urian Rakarth, and I did Urian 2 wounds. So for those people out there who are crying that, blimey, that Vindicare, he will murder 2 characters a turn. He certainly won't murder 2 good characters a turn. He might murder a couple of Pain Boys or something, but not these Dark Eldar fools. And that was my turn. So let's have a look at the victory points on the doors. Sorry if that made you a bit ill. So if we look up here at the top of the sheet, Mark has got 2 victory points, 1 for holding and 1 for killing. And then he held more objectives than me at the end of the battle round, so he gains an additional 1. I have 1 for holding, 1 for killing, and no extra because we both killed 2 units. And then down at the bottom on our secondaries, I have got a couple of points towards Gangbusters because I've killed some of Mark's multi-wound models, and then 1 of my Pick Your Poisons, which was the Ravager, and Mark has started on his old school because he got first blood in the game. And that is the victory points on the doors at the moment. We're going to come back in a sec.
Right, this is the end of Dark Eldar turn 2. Pretty good phase overall. Basically, I've run and pushed characters onto objectives, and I'm trying to threaten down here. Most of my firepower, which was probably most importantly by the Ravagers, went into this bad boy. Mostly the Ravagers, and I've got him down to, he's got 2 wounds remaining, so I've done a really, really good amount of damage. Really, really helped by the Archon with all his rerolls. Other than that, really, I've kind of pushed off my objectives. And then these guys, deep struck down, they put their firepower into the 2 squads of 5-man scouts here. They've both been wiped out. So at the end of my turn, I'm currently sitting on 3 of the objectives. All 3 of those objectives also have a character, so I'm going to get the bonus point this turn. And then I've got 2 kills to carry me into next round. So none of my secondaries, but I've got a few of the normal points.
End of Salamanders, turn 2, and basically this was a massive blaze of firepower this turn. So I stepped back slightly with my Leviathan Dreadnought, and my Tech Marine, who was close by, gave him D3 hit points back, and he's back up to 5, giving him upper profile. He then opened fired and killed 1 of the grotesques from that squad. I then fired my C-beam cannons again over here at Mark's Ravagers, which are hiding behind the hill. I targeted the one that I had a secondary against, the Pick Your Poison. I did 6 wounds to it, and then I opened fire with this las cannon missile launcher dreadnought here and managed to finish him off with a lucky 6 damage on a las cannon. I then fired the rest of my heavy stuff, so the las cannon missile launcher here, the Anvilus auto cannon here, at the Talos, managed to take out another one of those. I Thunderfire cannoned and used the Tremor Shell stratagem, so this big squad of grotesques in the centre here halves all movement, so all charging, advancing and standard movement during Mark's next turn, which is really good because they're unhurt. And they could just roll towards me, so I needed that one. Other fire, I fired most things, including this Thunder Fire and the Tech Marine there, and managed to take out the Grotesques holding that objective. Mark still had more objectives at the end of the turn for an additional point than I did, but it was worth doing because it means he's got to move something onto that now. And the last thing, or I think I did it first, but the Vindicare, last turn I said he wasn't that useful, this turn he was amazing. He shot over there, Mark had moved up his Warlock. Warlocks have only got 3 wounds, even when they're on a bike. So one shot, bang, that guy died. I spent the command point to gain D3 command points back for killing a character. Got 3 command points back, promptly spent 1 to take an additional shot, fired over at his homunculus, bang, another headshot, another dead character. So that was really good for me there, and hopefully that might slow Mark down a little bit. The Vindicare is proving his worth. And that was the end of my turn. And if we go over to the scoreboards, you can see, if we go to player turn 2, Mark scored 4 victory points that turn because he had hold more, and he also got the bonus one. It spread his characters out, which had the advantage of gaining the bonus one, but did mean they were open to my shooting. I only gained 3 because I killed more units than him. I got that bonus. And down at the bottom, I've stacked up a load of mine, but Mark's are more late game scoring because he's wiped out all of my troops now, so he can now move on to killing the vehicles and things. And that's what we're at the moment.
Right, this is Dark Elder turn 3, and it wasn't a good one. All started going wrong with Eldrad. He's failed his Doom Pal now twice in a row.
And he's failed Smite twice in a row.
Oh yeah, Smite, yeah, so he's not kind of leading from the front down here. This also didn't go particularly well. I buffed them up with Guy to give them +1 to hit, but they failed to kill this guy, which I think statistically they probably should have done.
I think so. The first half their shots you did 4 damage, the second half you did 1, and then the heavy weapons did nothing.
Yeah, so yeah, 40 odd shots and re-rolling everything, so yeah, probably. I did manage to kill the Leviathan Dread, but it probably took a little bit too much firepower because obviously Eldrad Smite didn't go all too well, Doom didn't go through, so this guy did a couple of mortal wounds, but then the Ravager did the pickup. Other than that, really, because obviously these guys couldn't move because of the shock shell last time, they just kind of pushed forward a little bit. I am currently sat on 4 of the objectives, however, but in terms of army, he's certainly kicking my butt.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be... It's end of Salamander's turn 3. So this time we decided to push forward a little bit. Mark had still far more objectives than me, and I'm really struggling to get more than 1 objective a turn, so I can't stop him gaining the bonus point, so I really have to get the kill more. So again, I fired the Relic Contemptor over at the Ravager, which had moved forward, so I wasn't doing my max conversion beam of damage to it, but I still did it 5 wounds and finished it off with the Venerable Dreadnought here. I fired most of my other stuff, my Anvilus autocannons from this guy, my las cannons and missile launcher from there, the conversion beamer from the Tech Marine, all fired into the remaining Talos, the plasma cannon from the Chaplain as well, and managed to finally kill it off. It hung around with 1 wound. Then my Vindicare opened fire, capping Urian Rakarth in the head, blew him up and dealt Eldrad. No, he missed Eldrad. He rolled a 1 to hit for the first time, so failed to hurt Eldrad. I used the same shenanigans with my Tremor Shells, so this big unit in the centre is only moving half speed again, because I just don't have the firepower to take out multiple of these units, so I'm just slowing it down until I can concentrate fire on it. And other fire, didn't really do much else. I fired any incidental bolt guns and stuff at the Guardians, charged in with my Ironclad Dreadnought. They overwatched it to death, which was a bit annoying. But then my Chaplain ran in, murdered a load of them, and then they lost another 5 from leadership, so they're a much diminished squad now. There are very few of them left, so they're probably not going to be particularly consequential in the game anymore. And then we have victory points. So what happened? As you can see, the standard thing, because that's how armies are set up, Mark has got the 2 for holding and killing and 1 for holding more. I've got the 2 for holding and killing, 1 for killing more. I have completed my Choose Your Poison and done an extra 1 on Headhunter, and Mark has racked up a couple more big games. So I'm slightly ahead, I think, but Mark still has all the objectives, so we'll see how we go.
Right, that was the end of my turn 4. So about as good as you can expect. Eldrad has failed Doom 3 times in a row now. Good job, Eldrad. However, he did make up for it with Smite and Executioner, killed the Tech Marine. And also using a command point reroll, I managed to get my grotesque into combat with the dreadnought. Didn't do anything, but I am going to stop him shooting at least if he falls back. Other than that, I just disengaged from over here and just kind of shuffled around. These guys obviously rolled bad on the advance. That is it.
Salamander's turn 4. Not a bad one, not a brilliant one. I forgot to move this guy out of combat. Mark said I could go back, but actually decided keeping those two there is probably best for me at this point. We haven't done that combat. Probably nothing's going to happen there because neither are particularly good at killing each other, but we'll do that in a moment. Rest of the firing phase. Poured down, killed these guys over on this objective. Can they fairly ship those two over there, Mark? No, they only lost one model, didn't they? Oh yeah, Mark's fearless now. So took one model off of there. I was hoping to clear Mark off both those objectives because he's had to move off the centre objective, and I managed an advance roll down here to get my Tech Marine in range of this one. So if I had cleared Mark off those, I would have held the same number as him, and he'd have stopped gaining the VPs. I killed the remaining Talos, and I'm not sure I did kill that remaining Talos, because I remember saying on the last round of the video that he was on 1 all the time.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
so, no, didn't kill that remaining Talos. And what else did I do? I moved my Chaplain Dread up here, attempted a charge, failed the charge annoyingly. It was a 10-inch, so it wasn't that likely, but I do get a reroll from my Warlord trait. The Vindicare up here, shot down at Eldrad, managed to get a couple of wounds on him, but no more than that. And that was my turn. So not the best turn for me. Victory point wise, I gained 1 for killing one of these guys in the centre, and I did tremor shell them. Mark gained a victory point over me because he got the hold more, and we killed the same. So I didn't get the kill more this turn. And that's the end of turn 4.
Right, my turn. All I really did was push these guys forward, but they're still moving perilously slowly because of the stratagem. I lost 1 grotesque in the combat down here. Using psychic powers, all this kind of stuff, Cody put shield on himself, which mitigated quite a lot of my psychic damage. I tried to charge in as well with the Guardians and Eldrad. Unfortunately, his Warlord is sitting there on 3 wounds, so yeah, not looking too good for our heroes.
Okay, so it's end of Salamander turn 5, and not the best of turns, to be honest. So what went well? Down here, this Dreadnought staying in combat, he slapped another 2 wounds down on this Grotesque for nothing in return. He is teaching them a lesson. This guy here ran forwards a bit. He had to combine fire with, what else? With this guy here. And finally, the Vindicare Assassin. They all had to shoot. The Vindicare finishing off the last of the 5 scouts over there to gain me kill more for the turn. And he then assaulted into these guys, and they don't seem particularly good at killing dreadnoughts. He took 3 wounds, but he's locked them in combat, so they can't charge the rest of my army on their turn. Unless Eldar have a strat that does that, but Mark has no command point, so that's fine. My 2 Thunderfire cannons had to combine fire to kill the last 2 Grotesques that were over there, but managed to do so, taking Mark off of that objective, meaning we're each holding 1, so Mark didn't get the bonus point for that. I put a few plinky little shots into the Guardians. I managed to kill 2 of them. And what else happened? The only other thing that happened was my Dreadnought here. He was on 3 wounds remaining. He moved forwards, opened fire with his plasma cannon and Storm Bolter, took a mortal wound from his plasma cannon. That wasn't so clever. Then charged into Eldrad, hit him 5 times, wounded him 5 times. Mark failed 2 saves, meaning Eldrad took 6 wounds. He then rolled 3 6s on his Ulf 1 saves, took 3 wounds, so Eldrad is on 1. Eldrad then smacked my Dreadnought back, cut him in half with the Staff of Ultramar, or Staff of Ulfwan, or whatever it is. So that was a pretty big swing. That gave Mark 2 Headhunter points. 1 because he killed my Warlord, and 1 for just killing the character. So we don't know what the scores are exactly. Let's have a look. So down here, that turn, Mark got 1 for holding 1. I got 1 for... Oh, I should have 1 more there. I got 1 for killing, 1 for holding, and 1 for battle round. And I killed more. And down here you can see our total. So we're reasonably close. I'm slightly ahead, but Mark's got old school, meaning if he kills something in the final turn of the game, which we're about to have, he gains 1. And if he's got something in my deployment zone, he also gains 1. So he's looking likely on both of those points. So I think we're very close. You'll come back in a minute and find out. Okay, so it's end of my turn 6 and end of the game. Basically, I fired my 2 Thunderfire cannons and various other stuff, killed the Eldar on that objective. My guy's still just within 3, so that gave me score 1, and I've equalled the number as Mark, because he still has This annoying little shite at the back. So he's put it away. There was a guy down there who scored that every turn, and then I killed my Derrido, ran into combat as well, failed to do anything, but the Venerable Dreadnought, proving he is a boss in combat, even though melee weapons, beat to death the last grotesque, giving me kill more than Mark and a kill 1.
We did do my bit.
We didn't do Mark's vid, so on Mark's turn, what did he do?
Eldrad,
oh yeah,
Eldrad attempted to cast Smite on the Dreadnought that's here, blew himself up with a 6/6.
yeah, he failed to cast it first,
Failed
and
to
then you
cast it first,
re-rolled
yeah.
into a 6/6.
Yes, 6/6, and then obviously blew himself up, killing himself, meant power didn't go off.
Yeah, and that meant you had to kill the Dreadnought in combat,
Yeah.
which gained you a point or so, but wasn't enough, because then I got to kill the Guardians on my turn.
Yeah.
So, scores on the doors. Mark got a couple of extra points on the end, so you can see our secondaries down there, but the totals were 25 to Mark, 27 to me. Okay, Mark, what did you think of the old ITC missions? First time we've played, certainly, this new version of them.
I liked it. It was, I think ITC serves its purpose, which is it's kind of like a entry level into tournament play. I think it's good.
Yeah, I thought they were very fair. I quite like the fact that, similar to Maelstroms, there were different stuff you were trying to achieve each turn.
Yeah.
You kind of like had a goal for each turn, instead of, you had an overall goal as well, but each turn I was going, I really have to get 2, so I was working out exactly what I was getting, and you were doing similar with kind of like holding objectives for characters and things.
That's it.
So I really enjoyed it, and it was really nice and close, which was good. So you might see us playing some more of those. Thanks for watching, everybody. We shall see you next time.